Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Today we're going to be having a look at the newly released Arosa Linie for Train Sim World 2. I've downloaded it, I haven't even opened it yet, so you're watching this for the first time along with me. So let's give it a go, shall we? So let's go straight in with, let's have a quick look first of all just to see what we've got here. So we have 5 scenarios. All around an hour by the looks of it. If one, well, that one there's a little bit longer. And there are some freight services in here. Freight services, as it stand, are only available in scenarios here. There are no freight services in timetable modes. Rivet Games, who developed this add-on, are looking into potentially adding freight down the line, but there's no guarantee of that at all. Okay. Timetable mode, we have 84 services, all with this single locomotive, which is the RHB GE4/42. So, there we go. It will appear on the tracks here. Now, the rails that are running across the screen here are standard gauge, and this loco is narrow gauge. So the wheels don't sit on the rails. It's not really much of an issue. It's just something that's worth noting. And here we are. Now, the runarounds don't take long at all. That is literally just coupling and uncoupling just at the end of the line. So nothing too fancy there. And then the other services are up and down the line, some of which are express services stopping at certain stations, others which stop at all the stations. But there you go. We've got a grand total of, 84 services in there. No freight though, remember, no freight. And 1 training service as well. So, let's click Start a New Journey. And get straight in and see what it's all about. So, I've watched the Dovetail Games streams. I haven't driven this myself at all yet, so this could go either way. This could. So let's see. I have seen a few posts online about people saying it's very easy in the tutorial to spout your way through a red signal. So let's try not to do that on our first attempt. Certainly not making any guarantees that it won't happen, but you know, we'll try not to. This is on a base level PS4, by the way. It's not a PS4 Pro, just a base PS4. And here we are.
Welcome to this introduction for the GE442 locomotive in RHB red livery. During this introduction we will go through the following procedures: starting and stopping the locomotive, coupling, loading and unloading. Climb aboard to get started.
Oh, we've got a bit of a walk, haven't we, to get there by the looks of it. Looks quite nice so far. I know there's been some criticism of the scenery. It doesn't look all that great in the springtime, as far as I've seen. If we look at here, you know, they're snow covered, not too bad. The models look okay. The textures are a bit, oh, they're alright to be fair. They don't look very worn or lived in, shall we say. But the models themselves look okay. Not bad at all, not bad. Oh, we've got to walk even further. Oh, we're not getting on this one, we're not? Nope. Oh, yes, yeah, we are. So.
A lot of your time will be spent in the driver's seat. Switch the master key to... The reverser controls the direction of travel when power is applied relative to the driver cabin view. Set the lever to forward now. Headlights are important in letting others around you know that this locomotive is operational. Set the lights to the correct configuration needed for this service. The control wheel is split into 2 zones: Bremsen and Fahren.
Minus 20%.
The train vacuum brake should be used to bring the locomotive to a stop when driving in a passenger or freight formation. The locomotive air brake only applies the brake on the locomotive. This should only be used when operating. The Bremsen zone controls the locomotive's dynamic brake. The Fahren zone controls the power supplied to the traction motors and, depending on the weight of the train, also acts as a speed selector.
Just see if we can find some desk lights. We'll look for that later. Right, set the control wheel to 1. There we go. Traction mode sounds sound very familiar to Isle of Wight, to be honest. So, we've got to stop up here. Oh, there's the red signal. I've not got the signal turned on at my hood, so let's... Oh dear, this is very poor at braking. Well, there we have it. It's, yeah. I'm not the only person to do that, looking on the Dovetail Games forums. I think we need to do that again. So we'll bear that in mind, that the brakes are absolutely shocking. I'm not saying that's unrealistic, they're just absolutely shocking. Yeah, it is an old locomotive, of course, so applying the air brakes is likely to be... air brakes, vacuum brakes, is likely to take a little bit of time to respond. We're not driving a modern EMU here. Can't say I've ever done a SPAD on a tutorial before, but it's good to know I'm not alone in doing that.
Welcome to this introduction for the GE442 locomotive in RHB red livery. During this introduction we will go through the following procedures: starting and stopping the locomotive, coupling, loading and unloading. Climb aboard to get started.
Right, let's try again then, shall we? It's a bit weird, we can't cut across the platform. It's sending us outside the station to get round to the loco for some reason. Never mind.
A lot of your time will be spent in the driver's seat. Switch the master key to on. The reverser controls the direction of travel when power is applied. Headlights are important in letting others around you know that this locomotive is operational. Set the lights to the correct configuration needed for this service.
Rear lights to 1. Headlights to 2.
The control wheel is split into 2 zones: Bremsen and Fahren.
Control wheel to -20.
The train vacuum brake should
Release the vacuum
The locomotive
brakes.
air brake only applies the brake on the locomotive. The Bremsen zone controls the locomotive's dynamic brake. The Fahren zone controls the power supplied to the traction motors and, depending on the weight of the train, also acts as a speed selector.
So let's move it into 1. Let's give it a bit of a whistle. brakes on this are tricky. What doesn't help is the indicator is showing that we're going up 2.5% gradient when actually we're going down. That's slightly misleading.
Now open the dispatch menu and contact the signaller to gain access to the occupied siding.
Now that's a little bit confusing because it says bring up the dispatch menu. We're in immersion control, so we can't do that, so we have to know off the top of our head that is whole circle. There we go, proceed at restricted speed. So, vacuum brake off. Go into 1. Now, from what I can tell from the streams, if you put it into 1, that's 10 kilometres an hour, which seems to be the case. Obviously, if you're going downhill, you soon run away with that. You can soon run away with that, but. I suspect the reason that we're struggling for is because we're using the vacuum brake when we should be using the loco brake. Ooh, bit of a collision there. Right, so the brakes on this are definitely a lot trickier than what I'm used to with the EMUs and what have you. Coupled. Train vacuum brake to full service. Not emergency, full service. We'll leave that released because it's not told us to put that on. So set the reverser to neutral. Rear lights to 0, let's do that. And headlights to off. Master key off. Oh, is there only a door on one side of this unit? Didn't know that. There we go. Right then. Key on. Rear lights to 1. Front lights to 2. Into forwards. Vacuum brake to release. Loco brake to release. Right then, off we go. Let's have a quick look outside. Crank up the power a little bit. Crackle then, that must be coming from the overhead live wires. That's interesting. Don't think I've seen that in a route on TSW before. Let's not tempt fate, let's keep it at 20 because we've got a 20 kilometres an hour speed limit coming up. So there has been some criticism of the textures on the mountains. In the snow, they don't look too bad to be fair, they look alright to me. Everyone's got their own opinion on that subject though. We'll leave that for the Dovetail Games forums where the debate is getting heated. But, you know, as far as I can see from my first run, ooh, tree popping, there we go, that's not ideal, but, you know, we're looking over here, not up here. Right, now, let's test the vacuum brake to see how good they Oh no, they're okay. It's just because I was using the vacuum brakes before. No, it's the carriage is connected.
Press the door release button for the appropriate platform side to...
Right, so we've got any other switches to mess around with while we're waiting. What have we got? Wipers. Some visors. Cab fan. Oh, that's well modelled. I like that. Certainly didn't have to model that, but I quite like it. That's a nice little touch. Ooh, train lights. Should we turn them on since we've got some passengers boarding? Oh, that's better. We can see what we're doing now. Instrument lights. Let's turn them on a bit. Rear view mirror. Should we turn that on? There's the mirror. Hey, that's good. I like that. I'm impressed with that. Right, let's lock the doors. And away we go. So, vacuum brakes off. Yeah, so the trees don't look all that amazing, let's be honest. They're a bit, yeah, they don't look all that amazing. The street level looks pretty good though. As I said earlier, the models look pretty good. They all look a little bit clean. There doesn't seem to be much weathering on any buildings, but certainly close to the train, the scenery isn't bad at all. And the loco itself is exceptionally well done. Yeah, this is a speed switch, isn't it? So we can leave this on 2, and that should keep us at 20 kilometres an hour. In theory, let's see if we end up overspeeding. Seeing if there's any lights or anything on the back of the train, but clearly not. $350 metres to go. So, only a few minutes in, but other than the mountains not looking amazing, seems okay so far. It's definitely going to be a challenge to drive this thing, especially coming down the gradients. Performance-wise though, I haven't got an FPS counter up on screen, but it feels nice and smooth. It's not, it's nothing like Munich to Augsburg where it's a little bit choppy. Seems to be running perfectly fine to me. So let's turn the driving control wheel off. Let's do a dab of vacuum brake. Still trying to get used to these brakes. This is only the second time stopping some carriages, so leisurely, let's say a leisurely approach is what we're going to go for. Now what's really interesting is every time I put the brake on, the sound of the fans in the cab cuts out. Now that's weird. That's not ideal. Right, doors open. Let's switch that fan off and just see if there's too many audio channels running. But the fact that the fan sounds that we're hearing cut off as soon as you apply the brake, that's not great. brakes off. Six and a half kilometres to go. Let's get a bit more of the background in. Yeah, that's boulders. Looks more like the mountains haven't fully loaded there. That's not great. Down here that looks perfectly pleasant. I think this is a case of, you know, we're sitting on the streams. Distant scenery isn't great. Up close is perfectly fine. In the snow at least. It's good to see the cars running alongside the train. The train, that's quite nice. Let's head back inside the cab. Probably fold the mirrors in when we got on the station, couldn't we really? Where's the mirror button now? Can't remember. That's what it is, wasn't it? There it is. Nope. There it is. I don't like not knowing where things are. Definitely a leisurely pace on this route. Yeah, oh dear, yeah. There's now a massive hole in the mountains there. That's not good. Track joint noises sound like the same as the ones that we used in the Isle of Wight route. And as I mentioned earlier, the traction modes sound like the ones used in the Isle of Wight route, to me at least anyway. I haven't got any safety systems turned on this particular one since we're still in the original tutorial. When we jump into a journey mode, I'll switch that on. Ooh, we've got a speed limit increase, I missed that. So distant scenery looking this way doesn't look too bad. The trees sort of pop in and out as you zoom in and out, which isn't perfect, but the ones over there are the ones that don't look best. So for speed control wheel, we've got it set to 3, which is giving us 30 kilometres an hour. We've got a 33 coming up. I don't know if there's a 3.3 setting. I'm sure we'll find out in just a moment. To be honest, it's been quite. It feels like quite a nice route so far. We've only explored a very small amount of it, but it is definitely going to be a leisurely pace. If you like the pace of Isle of Wight, I suppose this might not be too far off. Although this is actually a little bit slower. Isle of Wight, you get up to speeds of 45 miles an hour. Here's sort of about 33 kilometres is all we're going to be doing. Really. So before my controller dies on me, let's plug it in and try not to miss anything. So I'm well prepared for this stream. Not even got my controller. Okay, so we can't use the external cam here because we're undercover. Switch the cab lights off for a minute. The cab doesn't seem to be darkening too much under the tunnels. I know there's an issue with some tunnels on this route where the cab will be lit up as if you're outside, but really games are aware of that, and I believe they're looking to patch that in the April patch. Ah, right, we do have a 3.3, that's good. So we can get up to line speed of 33 kilometres an hour. driving uphill is going to be a lot easier because you can set your speed to 33 kilometres an hour, and the train will do that. Going downhill is going to be the interesting one, where we've got to balance the speed of the train on the vacuum brake and on the driving control wheel as well. But we've not got to worry about that yet. We've just got to worry about getting to the next station. Hop outside and have a look at the scenery. But you can't move the camera out very far here, you're literally trapped here, so you can't swing the camera out far to get a good view. So I can't go outside at all now because the back of the train still goes with that little tunnel. Excuse me. I have to get the camera a tiny bit further here. To be honest, the mountains around here on this side are quite nice. Obviously the detail does disappear as it goes further away, but depends how much time you spend looking at this and seeing. I'll leave that down to yourselves to judge on that. Total route length is about 26 kilometres, and that will take about an hour or so because we're going at such a leisurely speed. This being the tutorial, we're not going to go that far. We're just stopping at the next station, switching the controls off and shutting the train down by the looks of it. Well, because we're at such a leisurely pace, we can sit and have a good look outside. Once again, though, you can't move the camera out further than this little line here, so that's slightly disappointing because you can't move the camera too far back. Oh, interestingly, you can here. Right, so there's an invisible wall that's actually quite low, so if you want to move your camera out, you've got to lift your camera up over the invisible wall to get it out. Presumably that's just to stop you falling down the side of the cliff if you're on foot, so that's a good one to know. Yeah, so once you get the camera higher up, you can start swinging out further. It's about there as far as you can go, but that's plenty. Hello to everyone saying hi in the chat, good to have you here. .30 kilometres an hour coming up, so let's drop the control wheel down to 3, which will leave us at 30. Let's have a look at the route map, shall we, where we are. The light baking's fine in this tunnel, but as I mentioned earlier, there are some tunnels where the cab will illuminate as if you're in full broad daylight, even when you're inside the tunnel, although the games are planning to patch that around about April time. As you can see in this tunnel, it looks fine. Weirdly, I downloaded this DLC earlier, started Trains Your World, and it didn't appear in game. I had to restart the console to get it to appear, so that was slightly odd. Can't say I've had that before downloading any of the routes. Should mention this is just a standard base level PS4, it's very old, it's not a PS4 Pro. Bit of foley through the roof, that's all right. Just a standard PS4, and it's running perfectly fine. No issues at all. Frame rate seems nice and smooth. To be fair, as far as tutorials go, this is probably one of the longer tutorials I've seen in the game. Yeah, these trees don't look all that amazing there, do they? They look like someone's cut them out and stuck them on. These ones look a lot better though. I think it's as it's been said on the forums before, it's distant scenery not amazing, but up close is kind of nice, so I can live with that. Oh, we've got a speed limit increase, that's... Oh, and it's going back down to 30 again, right. Well, let's enjoy the extra 3 kilometres an hour while we can, shall we? I'll have to add this to the list of one of the railways to go and see in real life, actually. I would love to go and see this, it looks absolutely fantastic. .8 kilometres to go to the next station then. So this is going to be just a quick preview stream. We do looking at the tutorial, having a bit of a look at part of the line, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Just a quick run. Yeah, this looks to be one of the tunnels where got that slight light making issue because the cab's lit up here and yet we're inside a dark tunnel. This is similar to the issue we've seen before on South Eastern High Speed and on some of the tunnels on the LGV CG route from Marseille to Avignon. Not the end of the world. It's worth noting that it is there. Looks like 33 kilometres an hour limit all the way up to the station now. Let's just see if we've got the same camera clip here. So if I drop low down, yeah, the camera, you can't take it over the rails until you move the camera right up and it can go over the invisible barrier. If that means the camera can get stuck outside the rails. Yeah, there we go. Just here, can't get around. Sound-wise then, the loco sounds fine, although I don't know what this loco sounds like in reality. In-game it sounds okay, but the sound of the traction motors does sound like the same as the ones in the Isle of Wight route, and the carriages are quite noisy. That may be authentic though, so I'm not doing this in real life, that's just an observation from the gamer that's playing this stream now. But yeah, considering the size of this route and how far you have to be able to see, I know Rivet have said they've sacrificed the distant scenery for performance. It does seem to have worked. Whether you agree with that or not, I will leave that down to you. But for me at least, performance-wise, on here seems fine, to be totally honest. I'm more than happy with it, considering this is a base PlayStation 4. So 500 metres to the station. Just to see how we should stop here. Do we need to use the brakes to go up a 6% gradient? Maybe not. Can we just coast it? Well, we'll find out in a moment, won't we? Drop the control wheel down to 3 for 30 kilometres an hour. Let's just see again. So let's just do a quick brake test, see what's fine. Oh, to be fair, we slowed down plenty quick enough without using the brakes. Why is the train stopping? We've got control wheel on. There we go. Just take a little bit of time to kick it once the brakes are off. So it does level out here a little bit more. Interesting, the fan sound isn't tripping out now using the brakes. Maybe that was just a glitch down in occur. Interesting. Oh no, the fan sound's kicked out again. And it's kicked back in, so that's very weird. We'll call that a bug, shall we? It certainly looks like that's a slight audio glitch.
Good work. That is the basics covered. A manual can also be obtained that explains the full functionality and features of this locomotive. Welcome to Switzerland. Take control of a true icon of Swiss motive power over the incredibly picturesque Arosa line. Deliver passengers to the many stations of the mountainous railway out of Switzerland's oldest town, Chur. Wind your way through the streets or take in the breathtaking scenery of the Swiss Alps and its many peaks and valleys. With challenging grades to conquer, your passengers are waiting for a sightseeing tour to remember. Along the way, don't forget to place route maps, collect snow globes, trigger cameras, and collect Ibex toys. Welcome to the Arosa line.
Well, there we are. That's just a brief introduction to the route. If I was to sum up my opinions on it, just based off what we've seen here, distant scenery, not great. The reason for that, according to Rivet Games, is to boost the performance and allow them to focus on detail in the locomotive and close to the tracks. That all seems fine to me. Performance seems fine, no issues at all. Audio is a slight... It doesn't seem perfect. When you apply the train vacuum brake, the fan sounds from the cab cut out until you release the brake, so that's something that would need sorting, in my opinion. I can't comment on the authenticity of the sounds because I've not been on this route in real life. Just as an observation, though, the traction motor sounds are the same as from the Isle of Wight, and the carriages behind, they do sound a little bit clattery. That's just my personal opinion. But all in all, seems like quite a nice route. I'll certainly play it quite a bit more, and I'll probably jump on stream from time to time. But that's my initial thoughts anyway. All in all, seems quite nice. Not perfect, but seems quite nice. The only thing that I would like to see them fix, pretty sharpish, is that audio glitch with the train brake causing the fan sound to cut out. That's just, something's not quite right there. So, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're watching this live, it will be uploaded to YouTube very shortly once I finish the stream, and I will see you guys at the next one. Cheers!